Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today, and before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. It is completely free to subscribe and I would love to have you here. Now in today's video, I'm going to show you something that I am so excited about. I'm going to show you how to make a 3D wood sign without using your knife blade, without using any wood except for the one that you're going to glue this to. And this is so easy to do, really fun, and you can see how 3D this really looks. You can do this for all sorts of things, but I made this for a friend who is having a baby. So remember, if you have seen when I did the koozies and all of that over on Instagram, this is for them, and their little baby is going to be named Emma Claire. So it was a girl, and we're super excited to have her join the family. So I'm so happy, and they have like a cloud themed room. It's very like celestial with clouds and stars and stuff, pinks, blues, and yellows. So I thought this was perfect to do for her. So I'm going to show you how I do this every step of the way. It's really fun, really easy. And like I said, you're not going to need a ton of expensive supplies. You're not going to need a laser, nothing like that. So let's get started.
Whatever we do it just for fun.
To make our wood round 3D sign, we're going to be using Design Space. This is super easy. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab a circle because we're going to use that as like a template for our design. So I'm going to grab a circle, and the circle that I'm using is one of the 17-inch ones from Home Depot. So I'm just going to make my circle 17 inches. This can be used like a template. Now, I personally like to change the color just so I can see it better. And then I am going to zoom out so that we can see the whole circle on our design here. The next thing we're going to do is choose the fonts for our name. So there's a really quick and easy way to do that is something that I've shown you before, but I always love to remind you, especially if you're new to the channel. So let's check that out. You're going to go to wordmark.it, and all you have to do is right where it says enter word or phrase, enter whatever you want your thing to say or see your text in. Now, we're doing the name Emma Claire, so I'm going to look at a name for Emma. I want to find the right font to use for that. Now, what's great about this is it brings up all the fonts that are installed on your computer. It won't show you Cricut fonts, but honestly, I don't use Cricut fonts anyways, so that's not a problem for me. But if you want to see Cricut fonts, you're going to have to scroll. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to select fonts that I like, that I think are going to look good for the sign. Now, I want her first name to be all in capital letters, and I would like it to look kind of fun and playful. I don't want it to be super thin lines. I like a thicker line for this. It makes it look better, makes it look more 3D. So I'm just going to go through and select a few of the fonts that I like. Then when we're done, I'll show you how we can see those fonts together so that you can choose one that maybe fits the style that you want. Now that I've made it to the bottom of my list and I've selected my fonts, all I need to do is click up here at the top and filter those selected fonts. Then you can compare the fonts to each other and see which one you like. You can always view them larger by just clicking on them, and then you can close it. I don't like this one. I don't like that it's not very smooth, so it's just not really the one I'm looking for. I don't love the E on this one, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I don't like the A on Billy Sands or on Aubergine, although that's usually a favorite font of mine. Arial Round is just sort of plain for my taste. And I don't think Party Days is what I'm going for. This doesn't have a capital E, so I don't like that one. It's kind of between these three, but I think the Lovely Mood Display one is the one that I'm going to go with. And the bonus is I know that this is a font duo, so we can use the other font that goes with this to make the middle name. Back over in Design Space, we're going to open up a text box and we're going to place the name Emma into that. Then open up your font selection tool, and under System, since I know the name of it, I'm just going to search for Lovely. You can see right here we have Lovely Mood Display. Then right here we also have the Lovely Mood Script. So doing this is going to be so simple. I'm going to select the Lovely Mood Display. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is, do you see how close the M's sit in this? Obviously that's not what we want. So just for our own visual sake, I'm going to change the letter spacing to 3 just so it spaces out our letters a little bit so you can see them better. We'll play with this in a minute, but I'm going to size it down really quick just so I can get a visual and just kind of see where I want to put it on my circle. I don't want it fully like centered, and I don't want it all the way at the top. I kind of want it like maybe like a third of the way down. Now I'm going to open up my text again, and this time I'm going to put in the middle name, which is Claire, and I'm going to go to my fonts and I'm going to select Lovely Mood Script. From here, I'm going to make Claire bigger so you guys can see it. I want you guys to really see that. Look how cute that one is. It's perfect. It's got a little heart on the eye. This will be very cute. So I'm going to size this down a little bit. And I do want the middle name to be decently small compared to our first name. I just think it looks better that way. But I also want to add a few things to go with the nursery theme for this, because this is going to be on her nursery wall. Now, this is cute, but I'm going to change the colors so I can get like a better visual. I want the first name pink, so we'll do like a light pink. And then I want to do the middle name in white. And then I want to add some clouds and stars because that's going to match the nursery really, really well. So I'm going to grab a shape and I'm just going to use the Design Space shape star for this. And let's change the color because I want it to stand out. Let's do the bright yellow for that. And you can really place or do whatever you want. You can leave it really plain if you'd rather. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate my star and just put a couple stars on. I don't want it like caked in stars, but just maybe a few stars. Nothing too crazy, just something to kind of add a little bit of extra to the design. I think that looks pretty good. Now I do want a cloud, and I'm going to use Design Space images, but you could find one on Google if you wanted to. You know, whatever, go buy one in SVG from somewhere, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to use a Design Space cloud because I don't feel like looking anywhere else, but there are tons of options. So what I want to do is just find a cloud shape that I like, and I think this one's kind of what I'm going for because I don't want it to be super like plain, but I also don't want it to be like a big blob. So I think that's the answer. Now again, I'm not going to put a ton of clouds on here. I just want a couple just to kind of dress it up a little. So I'm going to make this cloud a little bigger. I'm going to duplicate the cloud, and I think I'm going to put one more down here, and I'll make that one a little smaller. And voila! I think that looks really, really nice. I don't think it looks bad at all. I think this is the look we're going for. Now we're cutting all of the stars and the clouds and the name and everything in foam. So it's just going to be using craft foam. It's really easy. But I do want to set this up so that it cuts really nicely, and that way we're not going to like waste materials. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide my circle because I don't really need that to show. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and ungroup the name Emma so that it doesn't take up as much foam. We're going to have to lay it out anyways, regardless. It's not something that's connected. So I'm just going to go up to the top and click these two squares that's ungroup. And now I can move my letters, or at least I will be able to. I can move them individually. That way when we cut them, it's going to cut them a little bit easier. Like I said, it's just not going to waste as much foam. Now with Claire here, I technically don't need to do this, but I personally like to do combine and weld just so it gets rid of the cut lines. It's not going to cut with the cut lines, it just shows them. And for me personally, I just think this is a visual I prefer to see, so I don't see any of those cut lines. I just make sure I have everything I need on screen, and then I want to make sure that I save it. So I'm going to save it as Emma Claire sign and click save. That way, if something happens, it's already saved and I don't have to worry about like losing all that work that I just did. Even though this one was pretty easy, I still don't want to have to redo it. So now all I have to do from here is simply click make it. And on the make it screen, you're going to see that you have a bunch of your different like foam boards, basically. These are all of your different mats. We've got white, we've got pink, we've got yellow, and we've got blue. So with this one, what I want to do is I'm going to make sure that my foam measures correctly. So I know that my white is a 12 by 12, but my pink is a lot smaller. It's only like 6 by 9. So I'm going to look and see. I don't think they offer a 6 by 9 option. So what I'll typically do is choose A5 because that's going to be like about the closest you're going to get to it fitting together. So it's going to cut the M on a separate piece, but that's okay. Not a big deal. But I'm going to go down and do the same thing for this one. I'm going to change it to A5 size. And then I'm going to also do the same for the clouds. And I want to change that also to A5. That way the Cricut isn't going to accidentally cut it off to the side of where my foam is. This just makes it easier for me. Now I cut this on the EVA foam setting, which you should have if you just search for EVA foam under your materials, and we're going to cut this with the deep point blade. So let me go show you how to install that deep point blade and get everything cut out. The first thing we need to do before we get started is to change out our fine point blade for our deep point blade. So all I'm going to do is pull the clamp B open. I'm going to take my fine point blade and put it in the little pocket next to the machine. And then I'm just going to insert the deep point blade in. Really super simple. Next thing you want to make sure is that these white wheels are off to the sides. Now we're going to be using a craft foam that I got at Michael's. I'll link it down below. Make sure you're putting this on a strong grip mat. I'm gonna go ahead and load this. I'm gonna keep you guys pretty close in on the machine so that you can see it cutting, but this is such a fun process. My wood round out, and then I have all my foam pieces, and I just realized my E is upside down. So what I'm gonna do is kind of just lay it out. I'm not gonna lay it out perfectly right now. I just want to make sure that I have all of my parts cut and that I have kind of everything I need to create my design. And then just sort of play with where I placed the stars. And now you kind of get the idea of what it's going to look like. There's a cloud down here. You just can't see it. I can't fit the whole thing on the screen. This is pretty big. So what I want to do is get everything glued down to my wood. Now you can stain your wood. You can do whatever you want. But the person this is going to, they have a very natural wood look to their room. So we're keeping it natural. I did seal this a long time ago with polyacrylic. So the wood is sealed. But since I already sealed it, I'm not going to seal it again. So let me take off all the pieces except Emma. Now with the Emma, what I'm gonna do is use the like wood grain to help me line up everything pretty straight. I'm gonna be using art glitter glue. This stuff is awesome, works for so many things. So what I'm gonna do is flip my letter over, and then I wanna put glue on the back of my letter. I'm not doing a lot. You don't wanna use a ton of glue because it'll seep out, but I'm just using a little bit, and I wanna make sure that I get all the way into the edges. And then if I've got kind of a big glob, I just take the tip of my glue and I spread that out a little bit because you don't want it to seep out. Now this does dry completely clear, so I'm not super worried about it, but I don't want it to stain the wood since we're going with the natural wood look. Once I'm happy with how much glue is on there, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna get it lined up where I want it. And I think that looks good. And I'm just gonna lightly tap it down, and voila, we have our letter. Now just make sure everything's well tapped down, and I am gonna have these spread out a bit because once I kind of played with it, I wanted them out just a little bit further than I normally would. So I'm just gonna do that for each of my letters, and then once we're done, all we have to do is show off our sign. There's no need to seal anything on this. I would not put this outside anyways, so don't worry about, like, you don't have to coat the foam in anything unless you want like a gloss, and then you could use some Maker's Magic, which is a great product. I would not recommend Mod Podge because Mod Podge is gross, but I would recommend Maker's Magic if you want a glossy finish. So I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing everything down and show you what our sign looks like. Here is the finished sign. So I got the wood round from Home Depot, and all the felt came from Michael's. Super easy to do this, and then I will link everything that we used down below for you. Keep in mind, clicking on those links doesn't cost you any more money. It just helps support my channel here on YouTube. And I also want to thank you guys so much for subscribing. I do appreciate it. But look how cute this sign came out. It was so easy. The other thing that I love about doing it with the foam is that it doesn't add to the weight of this. My husband is going to add some hangers to the back for me so that they can hang it up really nice and secure. That's always his job. He does all of like the hangers and stuff. But this is such a fun, adorable sign, and I think it came out so good. Look at how nice the foam looks, so easy to do. And like I said, I just cut this on the EVA foam, really easy to cut, and then you can just kind of punch it out of the design. If you guys have any questions, by all means, let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube, that way you don't miss out on any of our fun, crafty content. Have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.